Hello and welcome to On a Mission, the show where we share inspiring conversations with phenomenal women who are creating success and prosperity in their lives with purpose and passion. I'm Pauline Rohdich, a success mindset coach and clinical hypnotherapist, and I'm on a personal mission to remind you that you are a beautiful soul and you have so much potential. And my intention for this show is to give you the nudge to answer your own calling and to rise up and take on your life's mission. Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of On a Mission, and today I'm joined by a fabulous lady called Denise Christie. She's a phenomenal woman. She is known as the Baby Lady, and she's the founder of Health and Harmony, a beautiful business where she brings a lot of joy to a lot of couples. So I want to just welcome Denise. Denise, you're so welcome to this episode of On a Mission. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Pauline. I'm fine, and thank you. And thank you so much for inviting me, actually. I'm really delighted to be here with you.
Well, look, we met several times. We were one was either taking over from the other at various events around the country over the last few years, but pre-COVID times, of course. So that was how we met initially.
Yeah.
So Health and Harmony, the Baby Lady. I mean, I absolutely love the title, the Baby Lady, because I know what you do. And of course, what you do is something that is very close to my own heart with my own journey of having my own baby back in the day. He's 15 and a half now. So Denise, tell us how you actually got to effectively do what you do, because it wasn't always like this. You had a kind of a real job, in inverted commas, once upon a time.
I know. Yeah, once upon a time. Yeah, I call it my previous lifetime. In my previous lifetime, I was a legal exec and worked in London and worked there for about 18 years. And then kind of I got into holistic medicine in a really accidental way. And it was as a result of what's going on with me. And I think most therapists end up in therapists or anyone that works with energy ends up in that realm because of their own struggle. And my struggle was with miscarriage, which broke everything for me. It broke my resolve, it broke my strength, and it broke my marriage. And then I went from this completely black and white thinking of law, which is there's no grey areas, and found holistic medicine really because it was what put me back together again. And specifically, it was aromatherapy, which is bizarre because I rarely use aromatherapy now. But that was what put me back together again, and that's what set me down the path of retraining. And now I have a wall full of certs for different treatments where you go down a road and I suppose it's like a tree, really, isn't it? Holistic medicine, it's like this branch and then this branch leads to this branch, and then there's all little kind of branches off the branches as well. So I've kind of diversified a lot, but basically my core and my passion is with helping couples who either struggle with miscarriage or struggle to get pregnant in the first place.
And I know you've got an amazing track record, a lot of success in that department.
Yeah, our 69th baby has just been born last week, and he arrived a little bit early, and but he's doing really well, and Mum is doing really well. And 69 probably doesn't sound a lot, because I know that there are coaches who work with multiple clients, and it's just not my way. I've always found that I want to work one-to-one with my clients so that I'm there for them, and so that I know that they are embracing the changes I'm trying to encourage them to make, because I know that that's where their success is.
Yeah, and I suppose you take a very holistic view, though, don't you, of the whole?
Yeah. It is. It's coaching, it's acupuncture, nutrition, it's everything that I now have in the bag. I put together a program, and one huge element, well, there's two huge elements of it that I think are missed in the medical world. One is the relationship. The relationship is completely overlooked as soon as you go down the medical route, because the focus is on getting her pregnant, which leaves him feeling alone. He's trying to build a family as well. He feels not included. He feels he's only there as a sperm donor, and there's all sorts of issues going on there. So, so that one of those causes the relationship, and the other one is her relationship with her womb and the language around that. And that's why I call it the womb nurture method.
Beautiful. Didn't know that, actually. That's really, really nice. And I completely understand, having had a similar experience myself with multiple miscarriages and having to seek medical intervention. But I also did a lot of holistic stuff as well, which I remember at the time saying to my consultant that, I was going to continue with that route, because I suppose I was testing the water really to see if he was on board with it. Even if he wasn't, I was going to pursue it anyway. But I just wanted to let him know. I didn't ask permission. I pretty much said, this is what I'm doing. But luckily, he was of the mindset, thank God, he actually did have that broader picture, in fairness, which was helpful. It is helpful, because I think you need everybody to be on board. It's a huge, it's massive for people. Especially those that are struggling and having the miscarriage. And there's so many different reasons why people have miscarriages. Isn't that true?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
How long are you actually doing it, Denise?
Yeah.
How long?
Well, I've been in Ireland 18 and a half years. And I didn't get into the fertility side of things until I came across a client who'd been seeing me for a long while for different treatments. And then she turned up one day and she was booked in for a massage, and she said that she was pregnant. And I was I said, oh my God, that's brilliant, but we can't, maybe we won't do a massage, because she was only 6 weeks. And, maybe we'll do Reiki or, reflexology instead of the massage, because she was so early in the pregnancy. And then she just burst out crying. And my brain is going, why is this woman crying? She's just told me the happiest news, why is she crying? And anyway, as it turned out, this was her 14th pregnancy, and she'd had 13 miscarriages. And I pulled in everything I knew. I pulled in everything I knew about epigenetics, about the message that you send to your body, about nutrition, you name it, I pulled it in, with no specific training in fertility, but it was just an all-round knowledge of how I could help support her and help her through this pregnancy. And she actually saw me every single week. She had a specific medical condition. I told her she was never allowed to say those words again, and she never did. Right. And she got to 34 weeks and she gave birth to a very healthy baby boy. But that was another turning point for me, because that legal brain, that black or white legal brain, would only allow me to do things correctly. And we had literally got there by the skin of our teeth. And I felt that, we were both kind of hanging in there. So then that's when I went off again and retrained, and I kind of researched who were the best in their fields in terms of fertility, and I went and trained with them. And I went, kind of 3 or 4 different countries to do that training as well. So, because again, that legal brain, you have to be providing a top-notch service, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted the clients that came to me to get pregnant to know that what they were getting was every bit of knowledge I had mustered from all these people who've been doing it for years.
Really admirable. But I know your heart's in it, Denise, and it's so evident in the results that you're getting and that beautiful relationship that you have with both parties, that whole beautiful journey. Yeah. So in terms of life, let me ask you some of the questions that I generally pose at these short interviews. This whole show is about on a mission. So do you feel at this point in your life that you are on a mission and it's something that you're going to continue this vein, or do you feel there's more diversification ahead for you? How do you feel that your business is going to go?
Yeah, I think really how I've tackled all of this has evolved and evolved. I mean, when I first started doing this, I didn't used to work with the couple. I like the medical world, I worked with her because I was thinking like, well, this is who we need to get pregnant. And it was only the more I worked with the couple, and then I started doing analysis, who was successful, who wasn't. And the ones who were successful were the ones who had come to me themselves of their own volition. As a couple, we want to work on this together. And there was another light bulb moment for me, because once you start seeing those success rates, you realize that's the missing piece of the puzzle, that they are in it together. And I've actually kind of penned it, kind of named it conscious conception, that when a couple make a conscious decision to make a baby together, that's when they become parents. And that might be 6 months, 9 months, a year before their baby is conceived. But they become parents at that time, and they're doing everything in their power to make sure they've got a strong relationship, to make sure that they're eating for fertility, to make sure that they are managing their lifestyle and their stress levels for fertility, and that they're doing it together. So they're consciously conceiving.
That honestly touched a nerve there when you said that. It's amazing how, I mean, obviously the body stores lots of memories. And of course, that whole subject for me too, it's still emotional to this day. I don't suppose I'll ever really lose it, and possibly the same for yourself. And thank God you have your daughter Alice as well. But, isn't it funny? It jolted me there, because the memory of my own journey and the pain, the actual pain, the longing and the pain, and, but look, thanks be to God for you. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there really thrilled. I mean, I have to say I've had some success myself in helping people get pregnant with the hypnotherapy. Because what I found really, and a lot of women in particular, they spend their teens, if they're sexually active, saying, I better not get pregnant. I don't want to get pregnant. Even in their 20s then, because they're living their life and they're enjoying the freedom of their income and travel, etc. And I don't want to get pregnant. It's not the right time. It's not the right time. And then suddenly, when they want to conceive, they've programmed themselves for so long with this idea, I don't want to get pregnant, that they're really having to override that.
Exactly that. Yeah.
So it's the mind plays a huge part. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So in terms of, who would you most like to meet? Who would be somebody that you would love to meet? Maybe somebody that's similar in the work that you do, or just someone that inspired you. Maybe they're alive, maybe they're not alive, but who would you love to meet?
Yeah, I suppose really, I mean, maybe this is a bit cliche, but I would love to meet Tony Robbins. I've done some online stuff with Tony Robbins, but that energy, that kind of physicality, I just want to be in the same room as him. And there's been a couple of occasions where it could have happened, and then other things have come up. And I do feel that I'm destined at some point to meet Tony Robbins. So I just feel, and the way he talks about relationships as well. And I love the way he talks about love and partnership and, kind of, I suppose, supporting, kind of each other. When you read the stuff that he writes about relationships, I love that. But I also love the way that, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, I do love the way he speaks to his wife, Sage, about her. And when they do their interviews together. Yeah, absolutely. No, go ahead. I interrupted you.
Yeah, and that the thing that he says about opportunities as well. I'm really not one for letting opportunities pass me by. I tend not to intellectualize too much when it comes to maybe even making a decision. I go with my gut. But I think I love the way that he talks about opportunities, about grabbing opportunities when they come along. And there's that analogy that he uses with he throws the balls into the audience, and you've got some people sit there and arms folded and they're letting the balls fall all around them, and other people are going, oh, this has fallen into my lap. And then there's other people they knock you out of the way to kind of grab the balls. And I think I wouldn't knock anyone else out of the way, but boy, if they were coming towards me, I definitely would grab hold of them.
You'll go to catch it. I actually went to see him with my husband in 2014 to unleash the power within, and we did walk on the coals and all that kind of thing. It was absolutely amazing. the energy is incredible. I mean, he is just going, you know, I think one of the days was nearly 17 hours long. It was one incredibly long day. We were absolutely just spaced out afterwards with jet lag and otherwise. But certainly he is, he's definitely a force to be reckoned with. He is a giant of a man up close. You can't believe how big he is. It's unbelievable. So Tony Robbins, I'm with you on that. He is amazing, no doubt about that. And somebody that I have followed for many, many years as well. In terms of having, you know, this idea around a conversation with your higher self, or an idea that you are being guided by something. Do you have that feeling at all? Do you feel that you're being guided by a higher intelligence, your spirit, your soul?
I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure about that. I suppose, you know, kind of spiritually, I'd moved away from the kind of the some of the dogma of the Catholic Church. I was raised a Catholic, and I consider myself, I've always kind of nicknamed myself a submarine Catholic. So I kind of surface whenever I feel that I need it, or whenever it pleases me. So even there's been times when I remember I was in Drogheda for an event, and woke up the next morning and kind of walked down the main street, and there's this church, and I could smell frankincense coming out of the church. And I was going, oh my God, that's my childhood smell. I just love that smell. And I just was drawn into the church. There was no mass on, but I was just drawn into the church because of the smell, because it reminded me of my childhood. So I suppose it's, you know, my connection with God as such is more, I do believe in a higher energy. I'm not sure I would put a label on it. I have, I do have an affinity with angels, but that's just another way of you know, kind of calling it really a higher power. I've always, I talk to the angels. I'm surrounded by angels. There's angels everywhere in my home and in my treatment room. You know, and maybe it's not so much a belief system, but it's a comfort to me. I do find it a comfort.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's just a connection to something outside of the mortal self, you know, just that idea that there is something else guiding us and influencing us and helping on the journey. I love the angels myself. So what advice would you give to your younger self, Denise?
Oh, stop saying you're not good enough. I used to say that all the time. I was an achiever as a child and as an adult, because I never felt that I'd achieved enough or done enough, or you know, like I said, like you walk in my treatment room and there's a whole wall of certs. There's no need for half of them, but it's almost like I feel this need to fill this achievement gap that you know, that I don't know who I'm proving it to. I honestly don't know who I'm proving it to. I would have said at one stage it was my mum, but you know, she hasn't been around for over 20 years, so I'm not too sure who I'm proving it to now.
But I suppose when people feel that way, and to be honest with you, I understand, Denise, it's kind of like a validation, isn't it? That I just have to get the certification to prove, as you say, well, prove to yourself, number one, and also to prove to your client that I am qualified at this. And
yeah, you know, there definitely is an element of that.
You want to be the best you can be. But yeah, I think there's another element to somebody who is continually needing to get these certifications, or achieve, if you like, as you said. And that often comes from something within childhood where perhaps whatever we did was never enough. That could have come from a teacher. It could have come from a parent. Because I mean, I'm dealing with this a lot. In fact, I had a client earlier today who very much was, no matter what she did as the child in school, she got the B, she was asked, why didn't you get the A? She got an A in one subject, why didn't you get an A in all the subjects? So it's meant for her, all her life, she's been achieving and overachieving. Plus, it was a way she got attention because she didn't really get attention otherwise. So there's a lot of things that goes on in childhood, a conditioning, this programming that we really don't, it's there, very much there. And it influences a lot of how we behave. So, you know, I've no doubt that you could find out the answer to that if you ever really wanted to. But suffice to say, I mean, I still continue to learn and grow. And I think it's just part of the work that we're doing, we want to stay abreast of what's out there and continue to serve. It's coming from a place of service. I would think in your case too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And also one, like you say, you know, having that kind of proof, that evidence that you are qualified in what you're trying to do. So I suppose maybe the message to my younger self would be, I am enough.
Yes.
You know,
I mean, those three
really
words, those 3 words are absolutely just so incredible. And it's what a lot of people don't feel. It's the most common experience that people have, the most common denominator of our emotional needs, if you like, our issues, that we're just not enough. And therefore we have to keep doing more and more and more. But it also turns into all sorts of bad habits for ourselves, because we're really berating ourselves and not valuing ourselves. So I am enough. I'm with you all the way on that one too. So what's your favorite quote and why?
Oh, my favorite quote. My favorite quote is an Eleanor Roosevelt quote. And I saw this in a shop years and years ago before I came to Ireland. And it was my favorite shop, called Serendipity.
Yeah.
And it really did live up to its name. It was kind of, there was all this eclectic stuff in there. And then I walked in there and I was just about to walk out and I saw this little sign on the wall and I had to have it. And it was, women are like tea bags. You never know their strength until you put them in hot water. And so many women that I know that applies to, that have come through massive struggles that would, you know, you would think would break them. But it hasn't. It's almost gone, I can get through this, you know, I'm determined to get through this, I'm going to find a way through this. And it is so true. It's, you know, it's just a powerful statement about the strength of women, feminine power.
Eleanor Roosevelt, she said amazing things, because I didn't know that particular one was attributed to her, but she certainly has said some phenomenal things. And I totally agree with you. Us women are stronger than we can ever realize. And, you know, I mean, I'm all for the men as well. Don't get me wrong, very much, as you are too, working with couples. But, you know, I think women underestimate themselves. We have been, I suppose, behind closed doors for way too long. We've allowed ourselves to be trodden upon and maybe used and taken for granted. But thanks be to God, there is more equality out there. I know there's still a lot of room for improvement, but we certainly are, you know, an incredibly powerful, understated human, you know, and species, the female species. So what advice would you give, let's say, to somebody that's listening that is maybe considering changing career, for example, and following their heart, their passion? What would you say to them?
Well, I don't intellectualize things, and I do very little research, Pauline. So I'm not even sure I'm the right person to answer that question, because I go with my gut all the time. I go with my instincts, and then if things maybe don't go according to plan, or if they go a little bit awry, I just adjust. On whatever road I'm on, I just make an adjustment. You know, and I know a lot of people like to plan and they like to do their homework and that sort of thing. It's just not me. But I would say go with your gut as much as you possibly can. Go with your gut instinct. If something feels right, if it feels right for you, then do whatever is in your power to achieve it.
Well, I completely think that is excellent.
You know, and even when I, but even when I started my business, I work part-time. Mm-hmm. So I started off, I was working 2 days a week and I was working at the business 2 days a week. I was working elsewhere 4 days a week. And then that gradually came down to 3 days a week, 2 days a week, until I was only working 1 day a week elsewhere, and 4 or 5 days in my business. And I was sitting in the job 1 day a week going, what the blazes am I doing here? I need to be in my business. So even if it's that, if there's something you have a mind to do, something you have a passion to do, and you still need to pay the bills, there are ways. You can find a way. You know, if you may need the support of your family or your partner or whatever in that, but just, you know, don't discount it just because it doesn't seem possible at the moment. Find a way to do it.
I like it. Follow your gut. Find a way to do it. You have plenty of advice, I think, actually. I think that's wonderful advice that you've given. So tell me this, book-wise, what are you reading?
Oh, I'm really funny with books, Pauline, because I don't read one book at a time. So usually there's a minimum of 2 that I'd be reading. So at the moment, it's Edith Eger, The Choice.
Oh, wow.
I'm nearly finished that. Have you read that book?
Not in its entirety, because I am very much like you, but I have, yes, more, always more than 2 on the go. And I often think, have I got a touch of ADHD? But there's just, even here at the desk, I have so many books. Somebody recommends a book, I am online ordering it. But don't get me wrong, I do read several books cover to cover, but not all of them, I have to admit. But go ahead, Edith Eger. I actually think an incredible woman. Oh my God.
The Choice and
The Gift.
And
the 2 books, isn't it? The Gift and The Choice. She wrote both.
Oh right, I didn't realize there was another book. I had to have a look into that. Okay, that's it.
Yeah. I think I'm not sure which one came first now. I forget. I know I have both of them, but I can't recall which one came first.
Yeah.
But her whole story is absolutely amazing, isn't it?
Oh, it is incredible. It is incredible what she survived. And then the other book I'm reading is Think Like a Monk? Jay Shetty. I think it's Think Like a Monk.
Oh yes, I have it. Yeah, I have it on the book stuff behind. Yeah. I think it is Think Like a Monk. He's also amazing.
Yes, I love his backstory as well. And then I'm always reading acupuncture texts, so I will always have something on the go. At the minute, I'm reading one needle acupuncture, which is if there's, let's say, what's the one kind of primary needle for sore throat, or what's the primary needle for headache, or that sort of thing. So it's all just one needle for, let's say, if you only had one needle in your handbag, what's the needle for that condition? So I love how dynamic acupuncture is in that way, and even more so when you condense it down into, if there is one needle you can use for a condition. I just think that's amazing.
Absolutely. I have to say, I'm a huge fan of acupuncture. It really was what helped me conceive completely, because I had such an erratic cycle. It got me back on track with at least every 28 days. It was just fantastic. Denise, what would you say that excites you most about the future for you, for the baby lady, for health and harmony? What excites you about the future?
What excites me most? I suppose just working with more couples, finding the right couples to work with, and finding the couples who I feel right for as well, because I know I'm not the right fit for everybody, but there are more people doing fertility work now, which is amazing, because for a time there was very few in Ireland actually working with fertility. So the more the better, because choice is good. Yes. I'm not the right fit for everybody, and that's absolutely okay. But when a couple realizes that I'm exactly what they need, that feeling, you must get that as well, Pauline, when somebody realizes that you are exactly the right person they've been looking for.
It's wonderful. Very, very fulfilling. Denise, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Our internet has been a little bit unstable. There's been a small bit of a delay there at times, but I hope everybody's had a chance to listen in to Denise, and you can hear her passion about her work and her calling in this lifetime, and she's helping everybody as this baby lady, which is a beautiful title, I think. Certainly brings a smile to my face. So thank you so much, Denise, and continued success with the journey, and everybody that you're going to help to bring a lot of joy to a lot of people. And I want to thank you all for listening to this episode of On a Mission. And if you are like Denise and all the other phenomenal women who've been on the show and you've something to share, I'd love to have you on at some point in the future. So please reach out and get in touch with me. And I hope you enjoy this episode and the rest of them, all available on YouTube and the podcast channels. So thank you so much. Until the next time, take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this show so that you will be notified when the next episode is released. And remember, keep believing you're amazing and you have so much to give. Now is your time.